And she's sitting at like the kitchen table with an axe, probably a bloody axe at this point. Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be building a random house called Yellow Vibes and telling you a story about Martha, Ida, and William Place. Now buckle up because this is a crazy, crazy story. Okay, so Martha, aka Maddie Place, was born on September 18th, 1849 in New Jersey. Since Martha went by Maddie during her life, that's what we're going to call her. So when Maddie was 23 years old, she was in a really bad accident where she was ejected from a carriage and hit her head. I know that's really sad, but when we get towards the end of the story, I don't know if you're going to feel that way anymore. Her family claimed that she never fully recovered from the accident and that it caused her to become, quote, mentally unstable. But some would argue that Maddie's mental instability started at a much younger age, with reports of her almost killing a playmate and throwing an ink pot at her teacher in college, among other things. Regardless of the accident and any distress that it caused her, she did go on about her life working as a dressmaker. She eventually got married and had a child. But 3 or 4 years later, she and her husband had split up and she decided she could no longer care for the child. So she placed her son up for adoption and ran off to New York, where she later became a house servant to a man named William Place. William was a widow with a then 10-year-old daughter named Ida, who Maddie helped raise while she was in the home. Martha and William had become increasingly close. Their closeness would result in the two of them deciding to get married and raise Ida together. It's believed that William only married Maddie just so his daughter could have a mother and a father in the home, two parents raising her. So I think from the very beginning, William and Maddie's relationship was not off to a great start. A lot of people would say they weren't even compatible. They didn't share any similar interests or hobbies. William was described as, quote, quiet and scholarly, whereas Maddie, quote, knew nothing. So I'm guessing people thought that she was ignorant or not up to par with William. With that being said, not a lot of people were fond of their relationship, especially William's brothers, who really did not like her at all. They definitely objected to him even being with her. Either way, they remained married, but the problems in the relationship were not far and few in between. Apparently, things became really bad between the two of them when Maddie continuously asked William if her son could come and live with them. William obviously didn't like the idea. I don't know why or what reason he could have given, but it's said that Maddie had a very ill temper and she would snap very quickly. So whenever William would deny her request to have her son come and live, she would become very angry. And this was something that she and William had argued about almost constantly. And a lot of people also believe that that conflict led to her becoming very annoyed and agitated when William would show Ida affection. Maddie and Ida's relationship as stepmom and stepdaughter had really began deteriorating. As Ida became older, Maddie started to feel that she was trying to take over her place in the household, or maybe even force her out of the house. After all, Ida's dad, William, had put the house in Ida's name, meaning if he were to move out or pass away, the home would belong to Ida. The agreement of having Ida own the home definitely did not go over well with Maddie. This led to even more arguments and disputes on a daily basis at this point. The new housekeeper, Hulda, who William had hired not long after the wedding, had said that it wasn't unusual for Maddie and Ida to argue. So you could hear them arguing and screaming and fighting back and forth pretty much on a daily basis. But one argument had stood out among the rest. On February 7th, 1899, Maddie and William had begun the day with an early morning argument. William had questioned her about things Ida had told him regarding the alleged mistreatment she'd been receiving from Maddie. Of course, Maddie denied all of the accusations, pretty much said that he's crazy for even thinking that. He had then left for work without another word. Basically, Maddie was furious at this point. She didn't know why Ida would say the things that she had said, why she was telling stories. So she stormed up to Ida's room. Of course, she wanted to confront her. Now, I have to mention that even before this huge argument, William was already ready to leave Maddie. He had literally gone and hired a private investigator 2 weeks prior to this argument. He wanted proof, he wanted evidence of all the things that Maddie was doing to Ida and all the things that she was capable of doing to Ida, which would obviously help him in the divorce proceedings. Anyway, she stormed up to Ida's room where Ida was getting dressed. She asked her why she had told her dad these stories. They argued, which made matters worse. When Ida had failed to say anything remotely pleasing to Maddie, Maddie left the room and retrieved a bottle of acid that William used to develop his photos because he was really into photography. She poured a little bit of the acid. Well, I don't know if it was a little bit. She poured acid into a cup. She returned to Ida's room, opened the door, and splashed the acid in Ida's face. Ida instantly began screaming in pain. And rightfully so. That shit probably burnt like hell. Anyway, Ida's screams and cries only made Maddie angrier. She was livid at this point. So what did she do? She ran down to the cellar and grabbed an axe. Yes, an axe. She returned to Ida's room. And if anyone's wondering, where's the new housekeeper? Why is no one stopping her? Maddie had given Hulda a very lengthy list of errands to run so that she would be out of the house and out of her way. Anyway, Ida is just screaming and crying, and Maddie took the axe to her room and literally whacked her with it in the head in hopes that it would kill her. But no, it did not kill her. She hit her again and again, and still, Ida was fighting for her life. She was not going to go down without a fight. Eventually, she did end up collapsing onto the floor, and that's when Maddie grabbed a pillow from her bed and placed it over her head until the room was silenced. And I think that we all know what that means. She placed Ida into her bed and just covered her with a sheet. She took the axe and went downstairs and waited for her husband to get home. Just imagine she's sitting at like the kitchen table with an axe, probably a bloody axe at this point, just sitting there waiting all day for her husband to return home. Why do you think that would be? As soon as William walked through the door, he was met with the axe. She whacked him in the head and went to go a second time, but he literally was fast enough to escape the house, even with an injury to his head. He did have a skull fracture at this point, but he was still able to run and find help. He returned not long after that with the cops. At this point, he had no clue where his daughter was or anything like that. As he was transported to the hospital, the police had began searching for Maddie and Ida in the home. They had immediately noticed Maddie, who was collapsed unconscious on the floor. She had turned the gas on in the house in hopes of killing herself, so she was attempting suicide. Medical help arrived and revived Maddie, and then she was arrested. At this point, they hadn't even found Ida yet. So they ventured up the stairs into a little back room, which would be Ida's room, where they saw her body. I'm sorry, guys, this is so gruesome, but they pulled back the sheet and they describe it as her being basically unrecognizable. Her eyes were burnt so bad that they said if she would have lived, she would have been stone cold blind. Like, there would have been no fixing it. So William still didn't know that his daughter was dead. He was in the hospital. He had undergone surgery. I don't know why, but it was said that the police were not even intending on telling him until he was better, done with surgery, I'm guessing. But his friend had took him some newspaper clippings and said, hey, Ida's gone, basically. Obviously, Maddie was being questioned. She was being accused, and rightfully so. While she did admit to throwing the acid in her face, she said, quote, I know nothing of her killing, end quote. Which we all know that's lies. Lies, lies, lies. Everyone knew she did it. She did it. Anyway, so her confession got her a sentence of death by the electric chair. While awaiting her execution, she had many hysterical outbursts. It's reported that she would cry during the night, screaming, where is Willie? Why won't Willie come to me? Probably because you murdered his daughter and whacked him with an axe, you crazy bitch. A lot of people would say that she was merely acting insane in order to get out of the death penalty or execution. It didn't work. Everyone saw through her. They all knew she was just a pretty good actress. Maddie was eventually executed on March 20th, 1899 in Sing Sing Correctional Facility in New York. Her brother had tried to come and visit her but couldn't get up the stand, was his words. I'm not sure what that means. But basically, he wasn't able to see her before she died. But he did speak to a reporter, telling them all the stories of Maddie being jealous of Ida must have been wrong. He said that she really loved Ida. But Do you really do that to someone that you love? I don't think so. After her execution, a lot of people were still wondering, and they wanted to know why she did it. What was her motive? She never told anyone. I mean, she kept it a secret. I can't justify what she did. I'm not okay with it for any reason. It doesn't matter if she was jealous. It doesn't matter if he wouldn't allow her son to come live with them. It doesn't matter if Ida was a spoiled brat. It doesn't matter. Ida was only 17 years old whenever Maddie murdered her. She was engaged to be married. She had her whole life ahead of her. She didn't get to live out any of her adult life, and it's just super sad. So I did something a little bit crazy. I gave Ida a new life in The Sims 4. I created Ida. Here's a picture of her, and here is me creating the sim. So I will put her in the gallery if you want to download her. I hope everyone enjoyed this story and this video and this build. If there's anything that you want to see, please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great, wonderful day.